YouTubers, Sakfase. It is December 17th, I think. Um, crazy past few months. It's been so long. It's been 4.5, maybe 5 months since I made a video, uploaded a video. My last video, I believe, was when I was 23 weeks. I think that was like between weeks 20 and 23 when I got put on Bedrest due to an incompetent cervix, which meant I had to basically stop working, take medical leave, FMLA, for the remainder of the pregnancy. And then I'll go ahead and start off this video with, it's going to be weeks 23 through 29. Please forgive me, I'm probably going to hop and skip all over the place. Because of the fact that it's been quite some time, and I do apologize. It's just the more into the third trimester I got into, or the further along I got into my pregnancy, especially with the second trimester and the third trimester, the more just physically ailing it was, and then mentally exhausting it was. So let me jump right into it. Let's see here. So week 23, I went to that appointment. I pretty much starting from week 20, when I did get put on bed rest, I started going to the maternal fetal medicine doctor, my MFM, I believe weekly at that point, so they can measure my cervix, and it was steadily getting shorter and shorter, and I was always bringing a small little suitcase, nothing too big, kind of like a carry-on that you would take on an airplane, the one that had like kind of like the roller thing. I would bring it to every appointment, and I was constantly watching YouTube videos, podcasts about incompetent cervix, and just prepping myself for like worst case scenario. And I had it with me at that appointment. It was in the car. I go in, and even before we left, actually on our way there, me and my husband, we got in the car. We were about to leave our neighborhood when I said, "Oh my gosh, I left the bag," because I always kept the little suitcase right by the front door in the hallway. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I left the bag." And he was like, "Oh yeah, let's go get it." And I got it. And pretty much the nurse measured me. I don't recall if I saw the measurement right then and there, or if it was when the doctor came in that I knew. I don't recall. But they did let me know that as soon as the doctor came back in, and he wasn't my normal doctor, he was one of the doctors in the practice, and he came in and said, "I'm going to admit you." And I wasn't shocked. I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. I was actually ready. I was ready. And I said, "Okay." And I guess he was shocked himself, like, what? Like, I'm not breaking down in tears. I'm not. And I was just like, okay. And he was like, "Do you need to go home? It's going to take a while. I have to submit the paperwork to the hospital. I got to get a room ready for you." And I was like, "No, I have my bag right here." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yep, I came prepared. I've been bringing my bag to the last 3 appointments." And so, he stepped out, got everything ready. And the first thing it was, I told my husband, I was like, "Hey, can we go get something to eat?" Because I knew that when going to the hospital, I did not know, because I knew, I didn't need to be under some sort of like dietary restriction, but just in case for some sort of like hospital protocol, I didn't know how long they would try to restrict me from eating. So I said, "Can we go get something to eat?" So I went down the street, because luckily my high-risk doctor at my MFM is literally, it's an outpatient of that hospital. It's Orlando Health, or Winnie Palmer Maternal Fetal Medicine in the Orlando area. So with that being said, I went to Taco Bell down the street, which is right by the hospital, right behind the hospital. Went there, ate some food, went to the hospital, got checked in, and probably within 30 to 45 minutes is when they said they were ready for me as far as having a room. We didn't tell anyone. I think I had my appointment maybe like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and it was about 12:45 that I got into my room, and maybe about 1 or 2 o'clock that we decided to tell our closest family and friends, like our parents. mainly our parents and our siblings, and then a couple, like very few limited friends at that point. So we did that. Hubby, I think he decided to take the day off. And then from there, it was a roller coaster. It really, really was. For the next 6 weeks, I was told that I would be there for the remainder of my pregnancy. And then as week by week went, the first goal was 24 weeks. And then basically it was week after week after week. But then the main goal was 28 weeks. 24 is viability, 28 as far as delivering them if needed. And a statistic that they told me was that the fact that they were female genders, and as the fact that they were African American, something about our DNA gave them so much of a higher chance to do well and survive. If they were delivering at 28 weeks, it was equivalent to a white male at 36 weeks, which I found very interesting and kind of, a little calming a bit. Every day I had ultrasounds, fetal monitoring twice a day, in the morning and the evening. It was supposed to be for 20 minutes, but if there was any sort of increase or decrease when it came to, or some irregular sort of heartbeat, it would be extended longer. And it was very, very difficult. The girls were very, very extremely active, and they are now. But it was hard. There were times where I was monitored for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. There were times where I got very upset, where I where the staff did not communicate to me well as to why I was being monitored for longer periods of time, where there was a scare as far as they couldn't find one of the babies on the monitor for a few minutes, and they were monitoring me from outside, and they did not communicate that to me, and I was very upset. There were times where I refused to be monitored or took myself off the monitor because I was so exhausted from the round-the-clock care, around-the-clock, constantly having my blood pressure taken multiple times a day, my vitals taken multiple times a day, being woken up out of sleep multiple times a day, not being able to wander around and walk around. I had people coming and visiting me, which was great. I had my parents. They came to see me pretty much every day. My husband tried to come to see me a couple times a week. We do live a distance from the hospital. And then we also have a dog, so it was hard to, have him stay overnight and then try to be up early enough to take care of the dog and then going to work. And it was a lot. So, I mainly saw him on the weekends. I ended up having my baby shower there, which I do need to hopefully post pictures. Maybe I'll post pictures at this point. I don't know. So, had my baby shower there. Luckily, the staff at the venue that we had originally rented was very, very understanding, and we were able to cancel that, get our deposit back. So I had my baby shower at 27 weeks and 5 days, I believe. 27 weeks and 4 days. Had to be wheeled down, and I was in a nice little sofa chair. And I was so grateful that so many people came out. But it was a very difficult time. Had I recorded it fully while I was there, I do have, so they're probably my last couple of videos before this video. I was probably in the hospital bed at that point recording. But had I continued on, I probably would have caught a lot of interruptions, and you would have seen a lot of crying and tears and frustration because it was very, very difficult. It was 6 weeks, and I went home July 3rd, and I was so happy to go home July 3rd because that meant the 4th of July my husband was off, and we were able to spend the day together, which was amazing. And it was so difficult. It was so hard, but every day, every week was a blessing because my girls were just flourishing. They were doing well. I noticed since I was being monitored more, frequently, that they weren't growing as fast, and I always brought that up to my attention, to the doctor's attention. Make sure you're an advocate. Make sure you don't just listen to what they're saying, that you're actually watching the screens, you're watching the monitors, you're asking for the paperwork, for the reports, that you're looking at the patient portal to review notes. That was my biggest thing, because I challenged my doctors. I made sure that if I didn't like a doctor, I let my OBGYN know, because my OBGYN consistently, that office did rounds there, so I was able to see every doctor in that practice because they were constantly doing rounds and checking their patients, so I was so grateful. And then of course my maternal fetal medicine doctor also does rounds at the hospital, so I was able to see them every day. Don't be afraid to challenge them, advocate for yourself, ask about these diagnosis codes, why they're being put on your report, ask the nurse, why am I taking this medication? I don't need to take this medication. I had multiple breakdowns. I had multiple times where I was frustrated. I had multiple times where I wanted to just, what's the word? Not check out. I'm thinking like a hotel, but I wanted to discharge myself. And I stuck it through. By the grace of God, I stuck it through. And I'm so grateful that a lot of you stuck by me. I know I stopped doing videos, but I was able to continue on as far as my Instagram, because it was just a lot easier to manage and quicker. So I'm so grateful for everyone for sticking by me. And I'm going to make another video, I promise, a lot sooner than later. Thank you so much. Please follow my journey. Continue here on YouTube, Instagram for the most recent updates, Confessions of an Aspiring Mom. I wonder if I should change the title. I don't know, because I'm not aspiring to be a mom anymore. I am a mother. I'm grateful. But at the same time, I feel like that title is a message for so many other people. So perhaps I'll just stick to the name. You guys let me know. But thank you for sticking by me. And on to the next video.